Greetings and welcome to this short video presentation on how we go about monitoring Linux performance. In this short video presentation, we're going to learn how to go about monitoring Linux processes, memory, and networking. Most of these tools work with just about any flavor of Linux, and that includes whether it's a server and or a workstation. For this demonstration, I've logged on to my Fedora server as root, and we're ready to get started. We're going to start off with one of the better known performance monitoring programs in Linux called top. So I've gone ahead and typed in the command for top, and that is top itself. I'm now going to go ahead and hit enter, and it comes up and it's going to show me all of the running and active real-time processes using an ordered list and updates it in real time. It also displays the CPU usage, memory usage, swap memory, cache size, buffer size, the process ID, user commands, and much more. To break out of this sequence, I can just use Control-C, and it brings me back to my prompt. Our next command is used to display statistics of virtual memory, kernel threads, disk, system processes, I/O blocks, interrupts, CPU activity, and much more. This is called VMstat, and it stands for Virtual Memory Statistics. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it comes up and it shows me all the information about my current usage of my virtual memory. Our next command is the lsoft command, and lsoft stands for list open files. We can use this command to display a list of all the open files and the processes. This command is useful in determining which files are currently open and may be stopping you from completing a task, such as unmounting a disk. The output from this file is quite long, so I've decided to break it down into chunks, one page at a time. Now to do this, I'm going to use the pipe character along with the more command. Both of these together list the results of the command one page at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and type in lsoft space pipe space more. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and now you'll see that I have the ability to start listing the results one page at a time, as opposed to it just scrolling on by me at a very fast rate. Now I can scroll through the information, and if I want, I can use my space bar, see one page at a time, or I can enter and I can see one line at a time. Our next command is a network packet analyzer called tcpdump. tcpdump is one of the most widely used command line network packet analyzer or packet sniffer programs used to capture or filter TCP/IP packets received or transferred on a specific interface over a network. In our virtual lab environment, tcpdump is not going to be able to capture an exorbitant amount of network traffic, but in a live production network that would not be the case. I've gone ahead and typed in tcpdump, and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it will start monitoring my one network adapter that I have attached to this virtual machine. And it will also tell you a lot of information about packets that are coming and going off of this particular virtual install of Fedora server. To break the monitoring sequence, I'm just going to type in Control-C. That brings me back to my prompt, and it gives me a summary of what was captured. 22 packets captured, 22 packets received by filter, 0 packets dropped by the kernel. Our next command line performance monitoring tool is called netstat. Netstat is used for monitoring incoming and outgoing network packet statistics as well as interface statistics. The tool is useful in helping to diagnose networking performance issues and troubleshooting network-related problems. In this example, we're using a -A switch along with the pipe and the more command, and we're going to be monitoring all TCP and UDP packets. And we're also going to parse this information one page or one line at a time using the more command. Once I have the information inputted into the terminal, I just hit enter. And now we see all of the current connections that I have associated with my networking interface for this install of Fedora server. Again, I can parse through the information one page at a time by hitting the space bar, or one line at a time hitting the enter key. Now to break the sequence, all I have to do is just hit Control-C, and we're back to the prompt. Well-known command line tools like tcpdump and netstat have many different options available. Too many options to cover inside of this lab, but if you go to the internet and you want to know more about netstat or tcpdump and what the options are. Just type it into Google and you'll get all the results you want. Our next command is the cousin to the top command for Linux process monitoring. Now the htop is not available by default in Linux, so we have to install it using the yum command. So I've typed in yum space -y install htop. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and in just a moment we'll have the package installed. Htop is a much more advanced, interactive, and real-time Linux process monitoring tool. Htop comes with a lot of nice features, such as a user-friendly interface that helps us to manage processes. We also have shortcut keys, and we also have a vertical and horizontal view of the processes, and it comes with a lot more features than that. At the terminal, I have typed in htop. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and now you'll see that we get this nice colorful display, and we also get these shortcuts down at the bottom that we can play with. Another program that is also cousin to the top command and the htop program is called iotop, and as we did before, we're going to have to install it first before we can launch it. So we're going to type in yum-y space install iotop. Now I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter. The program downloads and installs quite quickly, and we are now ready to launch iotop. iotop monitors and displays real-time disk in and out processes. This tool is useful for finding the exact process and the high use disk read and writes of that process. I've typed in the iotop command into the terminal. I'm now going to go ahead and hit enter, and it comes back with the results for the processes and their names that are currently reading and writing to my disk. And you can see exactly what the usage is of these different processes. Our next tool is called IOstat, and this is used for input and output of statistics for our networking attached devices. So this is a simple tool, and it will collect and show system input and output of storage device statistics. This tool is often used to trace storage device performance issues, including devices, local disk, and remote disks such as NFS. IOstat also needs to be installed, but we get a different option when we type in the command. So I'm going to type in the command IOstat, and we're going to see what happens. And it says the command for IOstat was not found, but then it says we can install the package systat to provide the command IOstat, and then it asks you, do you want to do this, yes or no? If I type in Y and I hit enter, it will begin the downloading of the package. And it asks me if I want to proceed. I'll go ahead and say Y to that as well. And we're going to go ahead and begin the downloading and the installation of the package. The download and the installation happens very quickly. Now if I just use my up arrow and I type in, or I see that I have IOstat already typed in, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and it comes back and it shows me some stats here for the devices that are currently attached to my virtual server for Fedora. The readout of this program can be very useful to discover performance issues that you're having with your disk as it writes and reads from the system. So you can actually get a lot of good information here to check the performance and the values of those performance processes. Our next tool is called NetHogs. NetHogs is a monitor per process of network bandwidth. So NetHogs is an open source program, much like our Linux top command, and it keeps tabs on all of the processes of the network activity that are currently running on your system. It also keeps tracks of all your network traffic bandwidth usage. So what I've done here is I've typed in NetHogs, and again, like we did with our last program, it's probably not going to find it, but it's going to give you the option to install it. I've already installed it on this program, but you just follow the prompts and you'll be able to install it just like I did. Now I'm going to go ahead and run the program. Now this is a virtual network, and it's also our lab environment, so we don't see a whole lot of traffic going on here. But if this was a production network, we would see all the bandwidth usage based on what program was currently running on the network. Another free open source tool that we can use to monitor our network bandwidth usage is called iftop. iftop does for network usage what top does for CPU usage. iftop is a top family tool that monitors a selected interface and displays a current bandwidth usage between any two hosts. And just as before, iftop is not going to be present, but we will be presented with the option to install. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the iftop at my terminal, and it gives me the option to install the utility. So I'm going to go ahead and type in Y for yes. Wait just a moment. I'll be prompted again for another installation, and I will say yes to that. And now, in just a moment, IFTOP will be present. So after just a small time of monitoring my interface, we see that the IFTOP comes back and it gives me a readout of information between server 1 and my default gateway. Our next utility is called CollectL, and this is an all-in-one performance monitoring tool. CollectL is a command line based utility used to gather information about Linux system resources such as CPU, usage, memory, network processes, NSF, TCP, sockets, and much more. So I've gone ahead and typed it into my terminal here, and just as before, it's going to allow us to download it and install it from right here. I'm going to go ahead and type in Y to download the package. Then we're going to go ahead and type in Y to install the package, and in just a moment we'll have the results. As soon as CollectL is installed, it goes right to work monitoring your system, and you can see the results in real time as the resources are monitored, and this is the result. Another tool that we can use to monitor Linux performance is called NMON. NMON stands for Nigel's Performance Monitor, and it is used to monitor all Linux resources such as CPU, memory, disk usage, network, top performances, NFS, kernel, and much, much more. This tool comes in two modes, online mode and capture mode. The online mode is used for real-time monitoring, and the capture mode is used to store the output to a CSV format for later processing. I've typed NMON into my terminal here, and as before, this tool is not going to be present, but I will have the option to install it. So I'm going to type in Y to download the package. Wait just a moment, and I'm going to type in Y again to do the installation, and in just a moment we'll have this tool installed. Now the tool is present. We have this nice user graphic interface, and you can see all the results you can get from this particular tool. After installing NMON, my monitor, or I should say my terminal window, froze up, and I had to close it out and open up a fresh terminal, and then I ran the NMON again, and we can see that we have these options here that we can use with our keys. So you can use these keys to toggle through the statistics, whether you want them on or off. To kill the monitor, we can just type in Q. That's what I'm going to do now, and it should quit, and it does. It brings me back to my prompt. I fired up NMON one more time. I just wanted to show you that you can use the keys on your keyboard to get the stats that you want for certain types of processes that may be running on your computer. For instance, if you want to look at your network, you can type in N, and then you can get this information. Well, that's all the time we have for this short video tutorial on how we go about monitoring Linux system performance. I hope you found this tutorial informative, and if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact your instructor. And I will see you in my next video.